Welcome, creative adventurers. I'm Debbie Cohn with Cohn Designs. Thank you for stopping by today. In today's video, I'm going to show you all about the Ohio Star. This video is part of a series. It's by Quilt Along, a Walk in the Stars quilt along that runs September and October 2023. This is week 3. If you missed week 1 or week 2 or both, I'll leave the links to the videos in the video description below. Week 1 is our fabric requirements and schedule. Week 2, I showed our first blocks, the Friendship Star and the Starflower blocks. Now we're moving on to the Ohio Star, just a tiny bit more complicated, but not too much, and I'll walk you through all the important steps. Just a quick note, this quilt along is free and the block patterns are free through November 30th, 2023. So go ahead and download those block patterns each week so you don't forget. After November 30th, I'll take them down, consolidate them into a single pattern, add some more sizes, and then offer it for free on my website. But for this quilt along, you have your choice of a baby blanket size or a throw size. I'll be sewing along with you in the throw size. Oops, I almost forgot. If you go over to my blog at dcondesigns.com and you subscribe to my email and newsletter list, you can get 2 freebies which will really help you in this quilt along. One is a project tracking sheet and the other is some quilting labels to label your pieces as you go along. So I hope you'll consider that. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, tell a friend, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on that notifications bell as well. Those are the best ways to support my channel. So let's get started on our Ohio Star. Let's take a quick look at how the Ohio Star block is formed. In the 4 corners, you have your background fabrics. Between each of the background squares, you have your hourglass units. What's special about these is that they are actually 3 different colors, a background fabric and 2 focal colors. It is the arrangement of the hourglass squares that form the star block. In the center, you have a fussy cut square, or you can have it all the same fabric if you want. It's up to you. Here you can see I've cut out my pieces and I've labeled them. Fabric A pieces are your background squares. Fabrics B, C, and D will form the hourglass units. And last, fabric E will be your centers. The first thing you'll want to do is to make your half square triangle units. Here I've drawn a line on the back of my B squares and my D squares. I'm not going to go into detail about how to make a simple half square triangle. For that, if you would like a little guidance, go back to week 2 on the Friendship Star block where I show in detail how to make them. Here are the half square triangle units after I've stitched them, and here they are after I've cut them into pairs. Now that we have our first set of half square triangles, we need to press them open. I'm going to press, I'm not going to swish. I'm going to press them to the dark side, and I'm going to use the bulk of the iron, not swishing, but pressing down to open it. We don't want to distort the block. The other one, flip it over so we have the dark side up. You can give it a little shot of steam if you'd like. Now they're ready to pair up, mark, and stitch. So let's go on to the next step. Now I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about how to put the 2 sets of half square triangles together to make the 3 colored units, better known as hourglass units. First, you have your BC unit, which is this one, and then you have your CD unit. So both have one side's the same, and the other have a background on this one and a contrasting fabric on this one. Do not trim your half square triangles at this point. I can't stress that enough. Please don't trim them yet. Wait until you've put the units together and press them and then trim them. I'll show you what I mean. The first thing you'll want to do is to mark the back sides of your BC units. You'll want to do this before you try to put the units together. It will make life so much easier and you won't struggle with trying to mark over pins. I'm going to quickly mark this from corner to corner diagonally across the seam. I'm using a mechanical pencil. Use whatever marking tool works for you. I would hold it down on both sides so that the half square triangle does not move, like this. I'm marking it dark so you can see it on camera. Okay, I've got it marked. The next thing to do is to pair them together. So you're going to open up both units, right sides together, like this. Got them? You're going to turn it around so that one is on one side. You've got C on this side and C on this side, fabric C. Now I'm going to nest the seams. I've laid them right sides together. I've got fabric C here, and the seam is going this way. I've got my fabric C on this side and the seam is going this way. So I'm going to nest them together. First I'm going to match up the edges of the
squares right there like that. Then I'm going to nest the seams and pin them. Pull this in. You can see they butt up against one another. I push a little bit against them with my finger, making sure I'm still lined up right here. And I'm going to pin, maybe 1/2 inch or so from the edge, like that. Flip the unit around like this. Then I'm going to again match the edges right here. And then I'm going to look for the seams and I'm going to nest the seams. You can see is going this way. The top seam is going this way. That will make it easy to nest the two. I push it together gently. I pin about 1/2 inch from the top. You'll want to do one more pin. I pin right on the line so that when I'm stitching 1/4 inch away, it won't interfere. I will pull the pin as I sew so I don't get my head caught in the needle. Now it's ready to stitch. We're going to stitch 1/4 inch away on both sides. I'll do that and I'll bring it back to you and I'll show you what's next. Here you can see I've stitched the two units together on 1/4 inch on each side of the cut line. Now I'm going to cut them. I'm cutting on the diagonal line. Let's open it up, take a peek, see what it looks like. And there we are. We have the signature unit of the Ohio Star block. Now the units are ready for trimming. I'm going to show you two different ways to do it. One is the traditional way without using any specialty tools. The second way is using the Clearly Perfect slotted trimmer, which is my favorite, which I typically use. The method is slightly different and you want to be aware of that. So let me quickly show you how to do it. For the no specialty tools method of trimming your hourglass units, you're going to first set your seams. For this, I recommend, if you have it, to use a small iron. It will be easier because it's a little bit fiddly, as you'll see when we're pressing it open. You can use a regular size iron too, that's fine. It's just you might find this a little easier. So first I'm going to set my seam. That means I put my iron down gently for just a couple of seconds to allow the fibers to relax. Then I'm going to open the block right side down, and I'm going to start in the middle. I find that's the best. And then I'm going to hold the middle down, draw with my finger or your fingernail down the bottom part of the block to open the seam. And then I'm going to take the nose of my iron, moving forward, not swishing, and then I open the rest of the seam up. And if a seam goes wayward like that, that's okay. Just gently press it back where it's supposed to be and then lay it down. You're not swishing around. Don't move your iron back and forth or around in circles. That will distort your block. Press it down gently and that will help flatten your seam. Then flip it over, press it again. Again, you're not swishing, you're just pressing like that. And it's ready to trim. So let's just go ahead and use our rotary cutter, our ruler, and our mat to trim the unit. To trim the unit, you're going to line it up on the mat, eyeballing it so that you have an equal amount off of each edge. So in this case, there's the line here and here. I'm eyeballing it. I lay my ruler down and I trim. I flip the block around. Now, if you have a rotating mat, that will be much faster. I don't happen to have one. It's on my list, maybe for birthday or Christmas. Again, line up your ruler on the line, trim, and you repeat this 2 more times to trim the other sides. Again, you're making sure that you have an equal amount on each side, so you're trimming it off equally. And I've lined my cut sides that I know that are even with the line on the mat. Trim, and trim 1 more time. Now we've trimmed our unit. You repeat for the other units for the block. So here's another one of the units, and this time I'm going to show you how to use the Clearly Perfect slotted trimmer. You don't press it first. You're going to trim first when you use this specialty tool. I'm going to flip it over to this side. I'm going to line up my ruler. In this case, it's a 3-inch line. The dotted line here is the seam line. I put it perched just above the actual seam line. I'll slide it over so you can see I perch it just above the white. But why do I not put it right on the seam line? It's because we're going to press this open and we need to account for the very slight difference when you press it, the fold in the fabric. Then you're going to line this center line here, scoot it over like this so it's lined up with your seam, and making sure everything's lined up. And I'm going to trim on both sides and cut my dog ears. That's one of the reasons I like this tool, because I can get 2 different things done at once. I trim my sides and I trim my dog ears. Quick and easy. Now let's press. I'm going to press the unit the same way that we did when we used the traditional no special tools trimming method. First I set my seam, I open it up. I open the center, put my finger there. I slide my finger down to open the seam a little bit. You can use your nail or the pad of your finger. I take the nose of the iron, push it forward, opening the seam as I go, helping it along if I need to. I hold it to press it slightly. I check to see if there are any flip seams, and there aren't. Once that's pressed, I flip it over and I press again. Again, I'm not swishing, I'm just pressing. And the unit is all ready to assemble into the block. Here you can see I've placed the parts of the block onto a design board. We have our fabric A squares, which are our outside corners. Then we have our units, our Ohio Star signature units here. You'll notice that I have my fabric Ds toward the center, forming a frame around the center of the block right here. In this case, it's the mittens. Now all we need to do is assemble. You can either sew in rows like this, or you can do columns like this and then add the third piece. You're going to want to follow the pressing directions for these middle seams. Press the top row of seams going to the left, middle seams going to the right, bottom seams going to the left. That way, when we sew the rows together, the seams will nest at these intersections. I'm going to sew these and then I'll come back with the assembled block. Here you can see I've assembled the unit. Now I'm going to press. First, I'm going to set my seams, and then I'm going to press the seams open. There's so much bulk right in here that I want to make sure my seams are pressed open. I'll press them and then show you the final block. And here's the Ohio Star block. There's the front. I have not trimmed it yet, but that's okay. Let me show you the pressing on the back. These seams are pressed open, and the smaller seams are also pressed open. And there you have it. You'll want to trim the block to size and repeat with the rest of the units to make 3 more Ohio Star blocks. And that's it for week number 3 of the A Walk in the Stars Quilt Along, the Ohio Star. Be sure to tune in again in 2 weeks. We're going to take a short break on the Quilt Along so you can catch up on the blocks so far, when we will be doing the reverse sawtooth star. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.